Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farm, and today I've got a lot of work to do, but I've also got some fairly important topics I'd like to discuss with you guys. So my plan for today is to start off by jumping in the tractor and doing some brush cutting. And then, like I said, I've got a delivery, we've got some firewood, there's a lot of different things I need to work on. But as I go through the day, I want to talk about some topics that have been kind of weighing on me and a couple things that you guys have been asking about. Now, the first thing I want to say is I've really missed having my tractor, but not having the tractor has taken one of my biggest problems and made it a lot worse. I have a bad habit of not keeping all of my messes cleaned up or starting a project and not finishing it. And you guys are aware of that if you follow me. And one of those situations is I used to store attachments here, and I don't know what's in here, and I haven't had my tractor, so I haven't been able to mow. So I'm walking through this looking for anything I might run over, and then we're gonna run the brush cutter through here. I'm pretty sure that this is the only piece of equipment still in this area, but I don't want to find out I'm wrong the hard way. So 25 years ago, when I was a young man, I came across a definition of the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is a temporary feeling based on circumstance, and joy is a choice you make to be glad or positive regardless of circumstance. It's essentially happiness regardless of circumstance. And I always considered myself a joyful person. I'm almost 45 years old, and I just feel like my whole life I've always just been a very happy person, no matter how my life was going. But really, the last month, I haven't felt that way. And this is the kind of topic that's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's also just the reality, so here I am talking about it. And it starts with a few different things that I'm going to talk about in this video, but probably the biggest one is that 18 months ago, I weighed 285 pounds. I went on a lifestyle change and adopted the low-carb carnivore diet, and I lost 85 pounds in a year, and it was the best I'd felt in 20 years. And then, over time, I'm seeing those results go the other way, and I'm gaining the weight back. And after publicly losing that weight and being so proud of it and talking about it to you guys, gaining it back has been soul-crushing for me. Like, I keep trying to reset and go back to where I was, and I'm having a hard time with it. And publicly coming on this camera again as a fat person has been hard for me. And then I realized the other day that there's probably a large percentage of you that are also struggling with health problems because you're overweight. And so that gives me reason to talk about it again. And at the end of this video, I'm going to get into the details about what I'm doing and how I'm gaining weight and what I think the solution is. But for right now, I just wanted to connect with you guys on where I'm at as a person. This is a pile of dirt that all needs spread up on the trail, but I got to sort some of the rocks out of it first. And that's the kind of work I'm going to get back to now that I've got the tractor here again. I still have to do some more over there and the rest of that down there, but I'm going to stop for right now because my delivery is going to be here in about 45 minutes, and I've got a couple other things I need to get taken care of before that happens. You know, in life they say that the questions are complicated, but the answers are almost always simple. And I've said for a long time that it almost doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always the same If you have a problem in your life, the answer is work harder. And that's the case with everything I'm going to talk about today. All my list of small, insignificant problems that are weighing me down, the answer to all of them is just work harder. So if we start with the fact that it's my nature to not be detail-oriented and be a little bit unorganized or a lot unorganized, that's a big part of the problem. But the other part is organizing my life around video content is a bad strategy. I mean, I do really enjoy making videos. I enjoy, interacting with the audience, hearing your feedback. I enjoy doing all this. But I've got these other realities, like I have all this firewood equipment, and I heat my shop with firewood, and I try to sell firewood as a side business, and I want to sell a lot more firewood because I have such good firewood equipment. I want to spend a lot of time cutting firewood. The problem is splitting firewood is a repetitive task, and for the most part, a video about splitting firewood doesn't get a lot of views. So each day I'm asking myself, what kind of video do I want to make that the viewers want to watch? And that's hardly ever cutting firewood. But this work needs done either way. So I've got to make a commitment that I'm either going to make videos about the work that needs done more often, or I'm just going to make less videos. I don't know which is the better answer. I do know that the best answer is always just work harder. There's time in the day to do both, and I just need to do both. Okay, my delivery's here, and as you can see, it is firewood totes. I've got 28 of them. But I also want to introduce you guys to a friend who's been on the channel before. This is Matt from Firewood in the Field. And as a channel that's got a pretty good subscriber base, one of my favorite things to do is to try to introduce you guys to newer YouTubers who are growing their channels. That's the case with Matt here. Firewood in the Field. Now I got some questions for you today, Matt. You got a good job, right?
I do. I have a decent salary, regular 9 to 5, good insurance, the whole bit.
Okay, so what are you messing around with firewood for?
Well, I like getting outside. I like getting some exercise. I did it as a kid, and it was a chore that I kind of hated. But now that I've got tractors and log splitters and things like that, I find that I can enjoy it more. And I sit at a computer all day, and I got to get up and I got to move. So firewood gives me a chance to get some exercise, get outside. It's a good excuse to have tractors and dump trucks and stuff.
So I asked that question because when I was showing my wood yard in the last video, some of the comments I get every time I show them is, that's not practical to have that expensive firewood equipment when firewood's a commodity that isn't that valuable. But what I find is across the country, I talk to people who don't have YouTube channels or who aren't making their living from YouTube that are still investing that money and building it up. Do you sell firewood as well?
I do. It's not a primary source of income, but I do sell some firewood.
And so for you want to do this because of the physical nature of it, and then if you're going to do it, you might as well do it well. That's why you have the nicer splitters.
Agree. That's why I have the nicer splitters. Ain't none of us getting any younger. I'm not 50 yet, but I want to keep my back in good shape that I can. So a machine that has a log lift helps. And then the productivity is a lot better than just the average box store splitter. You can produce a lot more wood faster.
All right. Now, do you sell firewood in these totes like I do and like a lot of people do?
I have, but not very many. I only produced about 12 cords last year. And so, as you know, if you stack this in here good and tight and heap it over, it's about 1/3 of a cord. I have a couple repeat customers that I will sell 1/3 of a cord to, but mostly I have a roadside stand that I just sell out of that.
That seems like a really popular idea. I may have to try it, although I don't have a high traffic road. So I'm interested in your process here. I'm interested really in your trailer. Man, what is this, 22, 24 foot long?
It is a 20-foot deck with a 5-foot dovetail, and I've only owned it for a week and a half. I just bought it. It is pre-owned. It's a 2012 model. It's a deck over, as you can see, and my other trailer is a 20-foot bumper pole. And I'll tell you what, I did not realize how much better the goose deck pulls behind a truck than the bumper pole. I mean, I didn't think I was buying this and it would pull poorly, but it's a night and day difference. If you've never pulled a gooseneck versus a bumper pole, do it. I mean, it's
dramatic.
yeah, it's ridiculously much better.
So you bought this used. Do you mind telling us a ballpark price?
Not at all. I gave $7,300 for it, and I did a lot of shopping around. You know, it's a 14,000-pound trailer. It's got two 7,000-pound axles. They each have brakes. It's your typical 2 5/16 gooseneck ball. I like the fact that it's got 2 jacks. That was important to me. A couple little upgrades, like with a big box in the, you know, a big box in the front. Came with a nice spare. The brakes work. It was turnkey, ready to go. The tires are a little old, but they're okay for right now. And that seemed like a real fair price in my area. Some of these were going for 10, some are going for 4. It seemed like if you bought anything below $5,000, you got a really beat up trailer with the holes in the wood. And
I think new this would be like at least 12 to 15.
yes, you're right on the money. And I find that it varies a lot between manufacturers too. So I've never, Starlight Trailers I think is in Oklahoma. I've never heard of them. I researched them. They look like they've been in business for a while. They had a bunch of reviews on Google. Like 90% of their reviews were 5-star. I had another trailer that was a different manufacturer. I don't remember the name, but I looked them up and the reviews were horrible, and they'd only been in business for 3 years. So,
so you also have a side business selling these totes?
I do.
What do they go for in your area?
You know, I see a lot of people selling food grade for $100 a pop. These had road paint in them, so they're obviously not food grade. I get 25 a piece for them, or I do a discount if you take 10 or more. But that's a little low for my area. Most places in my area want 30 bucks a piece at least.
Yeah, so when I was buying these, I bought my first few at like 30, 40 bucks a piece. And then I decided to get a bunch more, and it was during COVID, and people were wanting $100 for them. And I scrounged around and found some that were a little dented up or had something gross in them and was able to get them for like 50 bucks. But yeah, they went crazy there for a while. So my plan with the new splitter that's a lot faster is to cut a lot more firewood this year. That's why I've set up a trade with Matt here. So I should be able to do 10 to 15 cords in totes. And I'm not sure that I'm going to put all the wood that I split into totes. So let's get this unloaded. Then Matt's going to try out my new Easton made splitter, and then I've got a lot more to get done today. So Matt drove all this way, and one of the things he wants from this trip is to test out the Easton made 1222. Now he runs an Echo 67cc chainsaw, so I asked him if he wants to try the 500i just for a new experience. It's a 79cc, so it's a little bit bigger, but he's going to cut up this log that I'm sitting on right now. I think this end of the log's rotten, but that end's pretty solid. And then we got a couple big rounds here. So he's going to cut some wood on this, and he has a Wolf Ridge 28 Pro X splitter. And so he's going to run this one. I've been rolling all these rounds. I forgot I had this little hookaroon tool, and even around that size, it works. It's more convenient. I'm going to start using this all the time. you got a Pro splitter at home. You know, what do you think of this one?
You know, this is an impressive machine. I think it's a different customer. I think it's a different, you're a different kind of firewood guy with a box wedge machine, because it makes wood so fast. I mean, you finished off one tote, and there's about a half a tote right here you were stacking while I was splitting. So you've either, in my opinion, you've either got to have another person with you or a conveyor or something to do with the splits. Because it just, this makes firewood incredibly fast.
Yeah, my entire thought process is, how do I match the capability of the machine? Because dealing with what falls out the front is the time waster. Now, it makes a lot more trash when you use a box wedge, but also half of this wood is junk wood. It's pretty soft. It's not the best quality wood. We're getting more of that, I think, because of what the wood is.
That's fair. I think so too. It seems to have plenty of power. I'm surprised the tonnage ratings, and on the Wolfridge as well, it seems either the box store guys are lying and they really don't have 37 tons on that county line you get at Tractor Supply, or what. But you can see only a couple times it struggled with the wedge, and I just repositioned the log and it went through it. But there's 5 or 6 wedges it's got to push that wood through. It takes a lot of force to split that.
I've already said my opinion. I'm really impressed with how fast it is, but I have to figure out a process that I either, like you said, need a conveyor or a second person, or I'm just going to be running the splitter for 5 minutes and then stopping to deal with wood for 15.
Yeah, but even then that might be faster. I mean, you could make a tote of firewood in minutes with this machine. So it runs well. I got to admit, I'm impressed. This is a more powerful machine than I want to give credit for, being a Wolfridge guy. But I got to give credit where credit's due. This is well built and it works pretty darn good.
I had some other business to take care of with Matt. We got him all loaded up and he's on his way home. If you guys like firewood videos, check out his channel. It's Firewood in the Field. Then I had some other errands I had to take care of, you know, for the family. And now I've got a little bit of time. I want to salvage and see how much work I can get done here. All right, so I've got all this mowed, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attachments that we're setting out here in the weeds. And I've got another reason that I currently don't have this stuff in the equipment shed, but that's going to be cleared out and I'll be storing stuff in there again soon. Then there are 2 little spots here I haven't mowed. One is where my wood stack is, and the other one is where my firewood logs were. I think those firewood logs are mostly all rotten and they're going to be thrown in a burn pile, because I've taken all the good stuff out already and there's just not a lot there now. I'm glad to have some firewood totes stocked up now, so I shouldn't run out all winter. But I do have a decision to make about the way I want to cut these down, because not everyone cuts them down the same, and whether I want to try to use the bladders for anything. December of 2023, I made a video that said, you know, I'm 280 pounds and I've got high blood pressure and all kinds of health problems. And if I don't do something about it, I'm going to have to get on medication for my heart and all this different stuff. Said I feel like garbage all the time. I'm worn down. I'm overweight. I can't physically get out and do stuff that I want to do. And I made a commitment that I was going to make a change. So for me, that meant cutting out all processed foods and all carbohydrates. We call that the carnivore diet. It is basically just meat and eggs, mainly beef. And I just ate beef, drank water, black coffee every day, all the time for 6 months. In the first 6 months, I lost like 60 pounds or something, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, somewhere in that range. By the end of the first calendar year, I'd lost 80 pounds, 85 pounds. I was all the way down to 200 pounds. From 285 was the highest I ever weighed myself. I don't know if that's the most I ever weighed. But overall, I was down 85 pounds. I was really proud of that. And as part of that, I just ate perfectly clean. No processed food, no sugar, no bread, just eating meat, and that's about it. And I was like, I can do this for the rest of my life. This is easy. It doesn't take willpower to continue doing this. And I literally went through all of my clothes, and I threw away all the clothes that I'd ever had in the last 5 years because nothing fit anymore. Bought all new clothes, said, this is just my life now. I'm a thin person. And more than being thin, it was I'm a healthy person. And that felt really good. And I talked about it on the YouTube channel several times. And I got a bunch of people sending me messages, hey, I'm doing the same thing you are, and I'm getting great results too. And it felt like I was not only doing something good for myself, but I was positively impacting other people's lives. I thought I'm making a difference for other people. And that was such a great feeling. And then at about that year mark, which was 6 months ago, that was last December, so now we're like 8 months ago, that's where the problem started, that anytime I was out somewhere, I started this slow creep of changing what I'd been doing. So if you're gone all day and you're out running errands and you got kids at ball games, different things, you don't have the option to get steak. And you can't cook something. So it would be, okay, I'm going to go to the store, get some beef jerky. And then I'm going to get like a 0 calorie, 0 sugar drink because I'm out. And then it was, well, what are they called? Pork rinds. It's just fried animal fat, but it's processed and it's got some chemicals in it. And then there's like sugar-free protein bars. And I'm like, all of this is still kind of what I'm doing. It's all sugar-free. So I should be fine, right? As soon as I started eating that stuff, sugar-free processed foods, because from a macronutrient standpoint, it's the same. As soon as I started doing that, I became addicted to those things. And now, you know, I haven't had a piece of cake or cookies or candy bars. I'm not eating candy. I'm not eating pizza. Most days I have the meals I was having before, and then at some point in the day I'll get tired or frustrated and I'll drive to a gas station or the dollar store or Walmart and I'll buy a box of protein bars or I'll buy some protein drinks. And having these things that are supposed to be health foods made my weight all come back on now. And not all of it. I weigh 235 today. So that's a little less than half of the weight. I lost 85 pounds. I've gained 35 back. That's less than half. But I don't feel good anymore. And more than anything else, every time I turn this camera on, I know that most of you guys aren't judging me like that or you're rooting for me. But every time I turn this camera on, all I see is, this is a fat guy again. And it's more than that. And I heard someone say once that your self-esteem and your pride or your ability to feel good about yourself is largely determined on your ability to keep the promises that you make yourself. And it's the same thing. I've been working on all these small things like ratchet straps. When I haul something, I would always take my ratchet straps, just wad them up, and throw them in the bed of the truck. And when you go to get them, it's this big mess to untangle them. Or you need to clean out the truck bed, and you're making yourself 3 times as much work. So why do that? So I've made a habit now that I'm rolling my straps every time I'm done using them. And being conscientious is just a series of that decision over and over again. But it's very difficult to change a behavior. If you've always done something one way your whole life, it's hard to just say, well, from now on, I will keep all my tools organized. That sounds really easy. I can just all the time tell myself, from now on, I'm just going to keep my tools organized and then not do it. So when you go on YouTube and you make proclamations that whether it is, I've changed my lifestyle and I've lost all this weight and here's how to do it, or this is a great product that I just reviewed and everyone should buy this product I reviewed. If you're going to come on to a YouTube video and say all the great things and talk about things, you need to follow up later and say, well, here's the reality of what really happened. I lost the weight and I gained it back. I tried that product that I reviewed. It's actually not that good. And if you're not willing to do that, then you probably shouldn't talk in the first place. So I don't have any grand point to make with this video. I just wanted to tell you guys what's up, why I haven't made as many videos lately, and that I have not given up on my healthy lifestyle. I'm just struggling with it. I appreciate all the people who followed me all this time and been so encouraging. Thanks for taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.